Don't wait for the perfect opportunity. We're not where we want to be because we're too hesitant. We always think about, oh, right now I'm busy, or right now it's inconvenient, so I'll chase after my goals later. We always try to wait until we get to a point where we're not busy, or when it's not inconvenient, or when we don't have problems to deal with before we decide to chase after our goals. But in life, there will always be something that's inconvenient. There will always be problems. There's always going to be something that's in the way that makes you feel like it's inconvenient to do the things you want to do in life. If you want to start a business, but you feel like you're too busy or you're working 2 jobs and you want to wait until you find a stable job so you don't have to work 2 jobs, then you'll have the time to start your own business. But the problem with waiting is there's always going to be something that comes up that makes it inconvenient for you to start your own business. Let's say you do get that good paying job and you no longer have to work 2 jobs, but then you have to work overtime and now you don't have time again. Or you get into a relationship and you have a girlfriend now and you think to yourself, well, after work I have to hang out with my girlfriend, so I don't have time, so I'm gonna wait until there is time. And the next thing you know, a couple years later, y'all think about getting married. Now you don't have time again because you have to plan and prepare for the wedding. So then you think, well, after the wedding, then I'll finally have time to chase after my goals and finally start this business. But then after the wedding, you go on your honeymoon. And then after that, you think about, well, now that I'm married, it's time to start a family. So now you don't have time again because you think to yourself, well, I don't have time. I have to go to work and I have to take care of my family. And then you don't have time again. And then that's assuming nothing else comes up. What you gotta understand is, in life, there will always be problems. Problems that you don't expect that comes up. When you solve one problem, another problem will come up. There will always be problems, not just responsibilities. Assuming everything else goes right and all you have to deal with is just responsibilities and you still don't have time, imagine when a problem arises. Then you'll really not have time. Then you'll think about, well, when I solve the problem, then I'll have time. But then there'll always be another problem, another issue, more responsibilities. The older you get, the more responsibilities you have to deal with. Things don't necessarily get easier the older you get. You just get used to dealing with problems and you learn to handle it better. Things don't get easier the longer you wait, because when you think about it, when you were younger, you didn't really have many things to stress about. You stressed about school, maybe you stressed about relationships, and little problems here and there. But you didn't really have any real responsibilities. And then when you grow up, you start realizing that you have responsibilities now. Now you have to deal with the existing problems that you have on top of the new responsibilities, like paying bills, having a job. And when things go wrong, you have to deal with it. Your parents don't do everything for you anymore because you're an adult, because you've grown up. You have to take on your own problems and your own responsibilities. So the older you get, there's just gonna be more problems that you have to deal with and more responsibilities that you have to take on. So by trying to wait for the perfect opportunity, you're just gonna end up with more problems and more reasons why it's not the perfect time to do the things that you want to do. Right now is the perfect time, or when an opportunity arises, that's the perfect time, because you don't know how long that opportunity will stick around or when it'll go away. It doesn't have to be the perfect opportunity. It just has to be good enough. You gotta understand that time flies fast. 20 years will fly by very quickly if you waste it. Next thing you know, you're retired. And then you'll think to yourself, well, I've worked all my life and now I'm retired, so I might as well just enjoy the rest of my life. But then you'll think to yourself, what if I had just chased after my goals? What if I had just started that business I wanted to? And you'll start to regret not doing the things you want to do in life. You'll think to yourself that you should have started your own business when you were younger. I think that's the one thing that most people regret when they get older, is not chasing after their goals and realizing that the inconveniences that they thought about was really nothing, and that if they could go back in time, they wouldn't have been so hesitant. And I understand that sometimes we're just afraid to fail and we're afraid to get rejected. It's not a good feeling. But every person that was successful at anything, whether it's starting their own business or starting their own company or in a happy relationship, even they failed before. Even they got rejected before. They failed at a lot of things before they started that successful business. And they've gotten rejected a bunch of times before they found a girlfriend. And they might have experienced a bunch of breakups in the past. And it took them a long time for them to finally find someone that they're compatible with. So nothing's easy. Starting a successful business is not easy. You'll make mistakes and you'll learn from them. You'll go through a bunch of breakups, but you will find the person that you were meant to be with. And you will be in a happy relationship. All your past failures and rejections, they're just a lesson to prepare you for the future. There's a lot of things that you may be dealing with right now that you don't have the solution for. And there's a lot of things that go on in your mind, especially if you're someone that overthinks. And you might think to yourself, life's not fair. Well, it's not. What you have to understand is the wealthy people, successful people, when they have problems, they just hire someone to fix their problems. And for those of us who live paycheck to paycheck, when there is a problem, we don't have as many resources as the wealthy people. We can barely afford to pay rent or afford groceries. We can't just hire someone to fix our problems. You know, successful people have problems too, but they usually have a team of people and they focus on what they do best and delegate the rest. They have a lot of people working for them and fixing their problems. So it makes things a little bit easier. And that should motivate you to be as successful as you can. And eventually, you'll get there. In order to be successful, you have to change your mindset. And to change your mindset, you have to change your habits. And to change your habits, you have to change the decisions that you make. What you do on a daily basis becomes your habit. Every time you hesitate, you start getting used to hesitating, and that becomes a habit. Every time you want to do something, you start hesitating. You just have a habit of hesitating, and you never grab hold of the opportunities that are in front of you because you might be scared of failing. And to stop hesitating, you have to face your fears. You have to understand that there is a possibility that you will fail. But no matter what you do, there's always a possibility that you'll fail. But if you don't do anything, then you're gonna stay exactly where you are. When you do nothing, it's the same thing as failing. You still failed to achieve your goals, but not because you've tried your best, but because you weren't willing to give yourself that opportunity to possibly succeed. Imagine if the most successful person in the world thought it was inconvenient all the time and always had excuses instead of doing what's required to be successful. Would that person be where they're at right now? Probably not. You have to do what's required to be successful in order to be successful. You're all capable. You just have to believe in yourself and be confident, and you will get to where you want to be.